Hello fellow cine enthusiasts, my name is Christina and welcome to another Let's Get Reelz movie review. Today is my segment called What's on Netflix, where I tell you what is on Netflix that may have a low rating or you may have never heard of. Today I am actually going to review a comedy special. It is called I'm Gonna Die Alone and I Feel Fine by Jen Kirkman. Jen Kirkman is one of the funniest people I have ever seen and one of my absolute favorite people. I loved this comedy special. I think Jen Kirkman is absolutely freaking hilarious. Her book, I Can Barely Take Care of Myself, Tales from a Happy Life Without Kids, is my Bible, and she talks about how people are always harping on her about not having kids. I told my parents that I do not plan on giving them grandchildren. I do not want my own kids. I can barely handle myself, let alone a screaming, crying person who is literally attached to your hip at all times. And it's always been so difficult to explain to people when they say, oh, you'll change your mind, or, oh, they're not your own. You like kids when they're your own. Jen's book and everything that she has to say is so spot on. And of course, she talks about that in her comedy special, but she also talks about how dumb she thinks people are in the world. And in one part, she talks about how this guy, she was at a bar and this guy didn't know the difference between limes and lemons, and a girl had asked the guy at the bar what he wanted to drink, and he said like vodka tonic or something, and she's like, do you want a lime or a lemon? And the guy's like, the green one. And she's just going on, and like her observations on life are so hysterical, and this observation on this guy at the bar was fantastic, because then she's like, babies are fine and old people are fine. It's the 20 to 40-year-old that should all be wiped out because they're the stupid one. They're the stupid ones, and who thinks of that? I thought that was fantastic. One of my favorite jokes out of all of this is you see the signs when you're out or at the airport that are the see something, say something. She's like, I wish I could just call up and say, I saw this idiot walking around, something like that. And she's like, I just want to call them up and, report the dumb people and, just really mess with them. That is so genius. Yeah. And just a lot of the other things that she says. Of course, she had to rip on being married. She's divorced, and a lot of what she says is probably totally true. One of my favorite jokes out of this whole thing is when she's explaining how people are like, oh, my wedding was like a party. It was so much fun. And she goes, parties don't start with church. I remember the first time I watched I'm Gonna Die Alone and I Feel Fine, I was crying with that one. It was totally hilarious, and again, just so genius. Where does that come from? What I like about Jen's comedy, and when she starts joking about all her friends have kids and everything, it's a big observation. All her jokes are big observations on life, and they're not ridiculous. She's not yelling in your face and being obnoxious about it. She's making a point, and she is showing the ridiculous side of things, just some things of being married. She was self-deprecating but with reasons, and she was talking about when she was engaged. She's like, yeah, I want that bowl, I want this, I need this, and it was stupid things that she never would have thought of before she was married, and think oh, married people should have this. And she just, everything about that was so spun, because I remember my cousin going through that when she was engaged, and I remember her being bridezilla a little bit, and that just totally reminded me of that. And then her jokes with kids and how people are like, oh, but my kid's great, oh, you have to come over and be friends with him and get to know him. Her one joke was, I'm not here to be friends with your kids. She's like, when I want to hang out with you, we'll have wine. The kids should be in bed. And she says something when she was younger, her mom's friends did not come over to know her well. Their mom's friends came over to hang out with her mom, not be friends with her. Jen was like, you go to bed when you were a kid. And I'm like, I relate to that. I know exactly what she's talking about. I love her humor so much. And this comedy special was just perfect. Like, I told my mom, like, do you want to know how I feel about everything in this world? Just go watch Jen Kirkman's I'm Gonna Die Alone and I Feel Fine, or just read her book. You know, when people start harping on me about not wanting kids, I'm like, I'm just gonna give you this book to read because I'm not gonna explain it. Somebody else has explained it perfectly for me. So if you want like really funny jokes, you want to just sit there and laugh and also be like, oh my god, did she really just say that? But it's not like gross humor, it's just really, really funny. And Jen's a little neurotic with her things in life. If you didn't know, Jen has a podcast called I Seem Fun, The Diary of Jen Kirkman, which is one of the funniest things you will ever hear because it's literally just her sitting in a bed and she's like, okay, let's see what was in the news. This was in the news. This happened. She has people email her and creates topics like that, and that is so great, and just, you'll like it. Jen is just really good. She's very different, or I see her as being very different, and I see her as like really inspiring too. I think she's fantastic in her topics. I think she's just very different to the comedians that are out there, because, you know, I hate to say this about her, but she is older, so it's like, you know, she doesn't have the typical jokes somebody younger would have, or, you know, she just has a different way of seeing everything around her. She makes fun of her mom, and she's from Boston or Massachusetts, and she puts on their accents and she does that, and she just tells really good stories with like really, really good jokes. So I really hope you guys, I hope this review was interesting enough, because I really hope you all go and watch Jen Kirkman, I'm Gonna Die Alone, and I Feel Fine, because it's just fantastic. Support her, support Jen, go listen to her podcast, have a good time. She's really funny on Twitter too. If you liked my review of Jen Kirkman, I'm Gonna Die Alone and I Feel Fine, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you have seen this. If you have any suggestions for future What's on Netflix, leave those movies down below as well. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for future What's on Netflix and other movie reviews, because that is what I do here. And as always, keep watching movies and stay absolutely fabulous.